If you're a native English speaker, you will have absolutely no trouble reading this sign whatsoever, despite the fact that it is backwards. And the reason I bring it to your attention is because it's kind of interesting. I noticed this today at lunch, and I tested it on my coworker, and he had the exact same reaction that I did. If you look at the words starting at the top, spicy, piece of cake, 14-piece, easy. Looking down towards the bottom, $14.99, obviously. And then you get to that bit in the middle where it says legs and thighs. And then right below it, if you're like me, or you're like him, or other people, you read that as tender spirits, when in fact that is tender strips. And it's all to do with the way that your brain isn't really reading the words that you see. It's looking at the collection and assembling it to something meaningful. And in this case, spirits is more close to what you're seeing than strips. Just sort of the same letters. It's just a weird effect, and I thought I'd share it. Well, I'm going to try McDonald's new Sirloin burger for a limited time only. This is the sirloin with bacon and cheddar, which looks something like that. And that's a lot of pickle. And that is a stale bun. Let's give it a shot. That tastes nothing like a McDonald's hamburger, which is generally a good thing. It's damn near cold out here tonight, which is quite unusual. Earlier today, about lunchtime, the temperature just plummeted, and the storm clouds came in, and it rained for about an hour, and then it cleared up, but it's remained cool and windy. And that is why I am using my Zoom today to record the audio for this. It's got a windsock that makes it better. Of course, that means I can put the camera further away and still pick up the audio, because I'll just sync the audio between the two. And it also means you can see me sort of squirm uncomfortably back and forth with my legs, trying to find a comfortable position. I'll be curious to hear how the wind, because there's a constant wind blowing, as you can tell from the wind chimes up there. So anyway, you saw that I just had that hamburger from McDonald's. That's their sirloin burger. They've been advertising them recently. It's supposed to be some fantastic burger, and it does genuinely not taste like a McDonald's burger. The meat tastes like somebody else's. It tastes like Jack in the Box. It tastes like Jack in the Box burger. They're higher end burger, to be fair, not the low end Jack in the Box burger, but Jack in the Box sort of fancy burger tastes a lot like McDonald's sort of fancy burger. I still have. What the hell do they put ketchup on hamburgers for? I don't. I mean, I can eat it, but why do they do? Why? Why do they do that? I confused the woman at the McDonald's today because my wife is not feeling well. That's not why I confused her. But my wife's not feeling well, and I'll get to that in a little bit. But so I went out to just pick up food, and McDonald's is the closest restaurant next to the Subway over here, which, yeah. Anyway. McDonald's is cheaper and easier, so I went over there. My wife wanted a quarter pounder with cheese, without cheese. Now I think you can see where the confusion and the hilarity is going to ensue from this one, right? So, may I take your order? Yes, I'd like a number 2 meal, please, with no cheese. And whereas normally she would go for the buttons and just hit number 2, no cheese, she's like hovering over it, and then she has to look up at the board, and it's, quarter pounder with cheese. Do you mean the quarter pounder with cheese? Yes. With no cheese. Right. Quarter pounder with cheese, no cheese. Right. Okay. And of course, while we're going through this, I'm looking at the menu and I see these new sirloin burgers, and I did see something about their ad, so I thought, well, I'll try the sirloin burger, because I do actually hate McDonald's burgers, but somehow, every once in a while, you just think, oh, I could go for a McDonald's hamburger, and I do not understand that, because they are truly the bottom of the barrel of the hamburgers. But I don't know. But anyway, I thought, well, now that I'm here, maybe I'll try something that isn't the bottom of the barrel if I'm lucky. So I'm like, well, I can't tell you what's on that, but I'd like the sirloin bacon and cheddar burger with no tomato. And so she's like, I don't think it has tomato on it. I'm like, okay, well then that's fine. But it doesn't have tomato, right? Then good. I don't need you to not tomato, because I don't want tomato. But it's got bacon and onion and pickle and mustard and ketchup. And I go, okay, that's fine, just as long as there's no tomato. Fortunately, that concept just really seemed to confuse the heck out of her. Since they don't list the ingredients on the burger, on this thing, you have to look at the picture, and well, you can't necessarily tell if there's a sneaky little piece of tomato stuck underneath that bun, ruining the flavor of everything for you. It's just not right. Anyway, so I had it with no tomato. It had 47 pickles on it, for crying out loud, and a whole lot of strong onion. So I was picking a little bit of stuff off anyway, but it was all right, I suppose. Didn't taste like a McDonald's burger. That's a good thing. I do look forward to Taiwan, where I can go to Moe's Burger. I love Moe's Burger. That's a Japanese chain, and I love their burgers. They're weird, and it's difficult for me to order them with no tomato. And I frequently just have to take the tomato off, but it's like half an inch thick. So I will get pictures of a Moe's Burger and the Moe's Burger tomato when I'm in Taiwan and show you what that looks like, because that's a terrible tomato. Anyway, it's been a busy week. It's been a sad week. I told you about my aunt. It's not a secret. There was a young girl here in Phoenix who was killed in a tragic accident, and unfortunately, it turned out she was also one of our campers. So we've been, not to trivialize the parents' emotion or not in any way, but I mean, we also have to deal with it, and you can't help but feel like you're a rotten, insensitive jerk to even have to bring it up. But what can you do? So that's been preying on our minds a little bit, and we've opened up the wait list for camp. So camp is full. It's full this year. It's 20% more full than it was last year, I think that's about right. So I mean, it's gonna be packed. My wife, as I said, is not feeling well. She's had a sore throat for 2 weeks. She blames me. As you'll recall, a couple weeks ago, I couldn't do the podcast vlog because I couldn't talk, and she's had a sore throat now. Of course, she's a teacher, so she spends her day talking. I spend my day sitting in front of a computer trying to be antisocial. She has not gotten over it. And yesterday when I came home, she was much worse. And she was just lying on the sofa, and, I said hello, and she kind of mimed that she couldn't talk. And then she tried to get me to feel her throat to see if it was swollen, but I didn't need to. I was 8 feet away, and I could see that her throat was swollen. I mean, it was, they were like plums or something stuck in there. It was, or little squirrel cheek pouches underneath. It was not good. So we got her to a doctor, and they said it wasn't strep throat or anything like that. It was probably bacteriological, possibly. So she's on antibiotics. But she's got her medicine now, and we're going to try to keep her from doing anything this weekend so that maybe we can get her feeling better. That does almost certainly mean I'm not going to be able to go to my aunt's funeral tomorrow down in Tucson. I don't do funerals. I don't want a funeral. My family knows that. We didn't do one for my dad, and my dad didn't want one. And if she weren't the only thing remotely like a close relative that I have, I wouldn't even consider it. Like I said, she and her husband were the only two people I invited to my wedding from my side of the family, apart from my dad. And her husband died, and I did go to his funeral. And by the way, she was 98. So when I said she was high 80s, no, she was 98. So that's a good run. That is a good run. You cannot complain about that. But I feel more. She's not there. It doesn't make any difference to her. From my worldview, it's a meaningless gesture. It is solely for her kids. When I went to her husband's funeral, my uncle, who was actually my uncle, she's aunt, second cousins, one of the things that you don't want to know about whether or not it's a board meeting or a committee meeting, and you don't want to know the intricacies of my family breakdown. So she's my aunt. So when I went to my uncle was the actual Glover, the blood relative to me. She was by marriage, which doesn't diminish the fact that she's been a Glover longer than I have. So, but I went for her, not for Roger. And because he's nothing, and they have it in a church because they were quite religious, which of course is not my thing. And, but for some reason, maybe it's just because I feel like I need to try to bridge the connection with her kids, who are all older than me, might add, which is one of the reasons I never really had any connection with them. They were basically starting their lives about the time that I was, really old enough to understand. So by the time I was 10-ish, they were all 20, at least. And we're moving around the country and doing stuff. And so I just really didn't have any interaction with them. And so, and I kind of feel I should make the connection with them somehow. But it is not right to haul my wife down there. And I think we're not going. I think unless she's remarkably better tomorrow. Anyhow, wow, another long one. And all I've been doing is rambling. So I hope this audio thing worked, because we're going to sync the audio and do the thing, and then I'm going to... oh, wow, the picture's so far away, I'm going to have to really stretch for the like, comment, and subscribe over there. By the way, those are not hyperlinks. They're just because where they fit on the screen. I guess I could make them hyperlinks, but if you're watching it, you're not gonna subscribe. Anyway, until next time, we'll find out what happens with the funeral thing tomorrow on Tedium Unlimited.